Welcome back. The job market is ever changing. According to Bloomberg News, recruiters say candidates in their 20s are asking for salaries well above their experience level, which has some employers now wanting workers who are more experienced.
To talk about what the job market is like right now is Daniel Pullen, Dean of the TCU Neely School of Business. Daniel, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll jump right in here. What are employers looking for right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly from the younger set, they're looking for someone that's well trained, that's articulate, that's confident, but also open-minded and really focused on listening and learning and really being on the team. We've never seen so much transition in the business marketplace in such a short amount of time. And what that means is that it requires a level of agility, both intellectually and interpersonally, of this up and coming generation graduating college or finishing other professional schools to really be nimble. And if they can demonstrate that, certainly on the job hunt, but also in the early stages of their career, I think they're going to set themselves up for a lifetime of success professionally and then in the context of life.
We mentioned this during our lead into you. So are younger candidates just asking for too much? What is it that they exactly want?
Yeah, I think in many cases, they listen to the news, they read the headlines, they're active on social media. They know it's been a really hot job market over, certainly the last 18 months. And as a result, I think they have been increasingly aggressive. I think in some instances, they've been successful in negotiating higher salaries or more fulsome benefit packages or, more expanded paid time off or those kinds of things. But I think in just the recent, quarter or so, 90 days, 120 days, we're starting to see a little bit of a return to balance where there's, equal negotiating flexibility on both the job seeker and on part of the employer. And you can see that, in a number of the leading technology companies who are either, having hiring freezes or, starting to, maybe even considering paring back the workforce. And that, at least in our mind, sometimes can be a lead indicator for the broader job market. But I still think it's a robust marketplace. Young professionals still have some leverage, and as long as they don't overplay their hand, I think they can be well positioned to be the next generation of business leaders that we're all looking for.
And, getting older or being seen as older as a prospective, hire hasn't always been seen as a positive. Is that changing, you think?
Yeah, I think it really is. There is a narrative out there that the younger generations, are just kind of job hoppers and, will just chase the next dollar or the next perk. I don't know if I believe that entirely, but it is in the mind of a number of employers. And as a result, those with more experience have the opportunity to actually lean into that experience and talk about, their career progression, even if they've taken a pause, as long as they have the ability to articulate how they've been able to maintain their career currency, how they've kept their skills sharp and current and relevant in this new world, then I think that experience is going to be well received by employers, particularly those that can map their aspirations to the specific requirements of the job.
The pandemic allowed a lot of workers to stay at home. Elon Musk has been a huge critic of that. So what is the current mindset for businesses now?
Yeah, I think the majority have come to grips that at least in the midterm and perhaps in the long term, that offering some workforce flexibility as far as remote working, maybe even time shifting as to when work gets done, is part of the market package. Many employers are offering it. There's not a consistent here's a best practice model. There's a lot of experimentation going on right now, but in general, I think most employers have recognized that their employee base can be very productive in a remote setting and a variety of different hybrid models, as well as the traditional in-office setting. And it's hard to argue with it, really, because if you look at the financial performance, so many companies, even in a remote working environment over the last couple of years, have had record sales, record profits, had a broader societal impact than ever before. And so it's an experiment that's now moving moving into, I think, the next chapter, and most employers that we're talking to, are offering a degree of flexibility, at least for certain types of jobs in their organization.
Yeah, Daniel, what about unlimited PTO? The ring of that is just so inviting to so many people. A lot of companies are jumping in on that. Is this a fad? Is it here to stay? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a growing trend. I don't know if it'll become, the norm, but there's a lot of movement on this front. So, for example, at one level, we've seen companies kind of get away from the bifurcation of, okay, you have sick leave here in a certain amount of time, and you've got vacation over here, and never the two shall meet. So one thing that we're seeing a lot of are companies consolidating that into just a bucket of paid time off, so employees can mix and match, and that's been pretty well received from the employee's perspective. But there's also a financial reason. These are businesses, and at some level, financial performance is required for the organization to sustain. And so, particularly at a time when so much transition has occurred, so many resignations and turnover over the last couple of years, people with accrued paid time off, or they're getting paid out upon departure, and that's a real expense. And if you have a significant percentage of your workforce that leaves in a short amount of time, then that can be a meaningful financial hit. So I think there's both a recruiting reason, right? Who doesn't love the prospect of maybe having unlimited vacation, right? That's fetching. But also there's a real business and a financial underlying reason why a number of companies are experimenting with this model.
All right, with the potential of a recession, is it wise to change jobs? Is it wise for employees to stay loyal, as a recession could lead to mass layoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a common and a very human fear when we see, recessionary, forces. When we see, inflation like we haven't seen in, 4 decades, it can definitely be a bit unnerving. However, I don't know that it means that you should stay pat and, put your career on pause and not really, seek out additional professional development opportunities. And personally, I would go to my employer and see, okay, well, what other skills can I require? What more might I do to continue to educate myself through lifelong learning opportunities, or graduate programs, or executive education, to have that same type of opportunity at my existing employer. And likewise, if you're looking for an alternative pathway, maybe a different company or even a different industry entirely, make sure there's a logic to it, that you believe in the purpose of that company, that you understand clearly why they're looking at you for this job, and how that job is bound up in the broader and enduring success of the organization. If you do that, then I think that you've kind of de-risked the fact that you could jump ship and your job could be here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. Some great advice. Daniel Pullen, Dean of the TCU Neely School of Business, thank you for taking some time with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Check